Hi, and welcome back to Reggie Football Show on Transit TV. Today we have a very special guest. Today's show, my very good friend, a very strong Arsenal fan, very lover of the game football. Don't mind the age, the gray beards, and the size. He still plays soccer almost on daily basis. We welcome Ogum to the show. Ogum, good to have you.
Thanks so much, Reggie. It's a pleasure, big pleasure, huge pleasure to be part of Transit TV today. I look forward to the day that I will be able to discuss the wonderful, the beautiful game with my friend Reggie. So it's my pleasure to be a part of the show this evening. I look forward to a wonderful period of discussion.
Yeah, good to have you. Welcome. Yeah, well, there's no other place to start today other than the breaking news we got today from Chris Whitley, who tweeted that XHAKA has an agreement to leave Arsenal this summer. And there's an understanding that he'll be moving to Leverkusen, who are almost through with agreeing personal terms with him. So what's your take on this one? Specifically, what's your take on XHAKA? What do you think about him?
He's a polarizing figure among Arsenal fans over the years, and he's the guy that has had people, either you like him or you hate him. Most people did not like him initially. For the first few years, he was at Arsenal because of some mistakes that he made playing for Arsenal, and those mistakes were costly ones that cost the team points and cost the team reputation and all that in the EPL. But one thing that I found out about XHAKA from day one was that he gave his 100%. Many of the mistakes he made was out of passion for the game, out of passion for the team, out of commitment, he was trying way too hard to get things done. And at the end of the day, he made those mistakes, either timing his tackles badly or being exposed and costing the team a red card, costing the team goals, costing the team penalties. But I saw a player that really wanted to, get things done. I remember the day at Crystal Palace when he threw away the captain's band, threw it on the floor with his jersey, and walked away. And when all that was happening, his family was being insulted. His wife, his unborn child was being insulted, and I think that will get to any man. But of course, that side of him was never highlighted. It was more about what the action he took. And, from day one, I've been a fan of XHAKA. I saw a technical player that had issues with mobility. And thankfully, the man Mikel Arteta came along and saw his qualities and put him in a position where, his qualities shone. And it was great to see him the renaissance happened with XHAKA in the past 18 months or 24 months with Arsenal, scoring goals, making things happen. And, coming to the news today came as a shock to me because with what we are building at Arsenal, I would have loved XHAKA to have stuck around and at least collected a major trophy, either the league or, something bigger than the FA Cup with Arsenal. It would have been a just reward for the work he's put in over the past 5 or so years. But thinking about it again, I was like, well, better to leave when the ovation is loudest. He's played his part, he's paid his dues. Now that the fans are on his side, I would hate to see a situation where XHAKA gets booed again at the Emirates or anywhere else. I think that he's won the fans over to his side. It's a fairy tale now. Better to have a fairy tale ending than to have a bad ending.
Yeah, I think I quite agree with you in all that you have said right there. And specifically, you're really right in what you said because XHAKA has been a very controversial figure. But do you think, personally, I feel because when he started doing what he's been doing for the club since last season, I tried to reflect on his time in Arsenal and him as a person and as a player. And something came to my mind. I don't know what you think about that. It occurred to me that by the time Arsenal signed XHAKA, he should be like 23 years or 24. So that's for me a time a player is maturing. So probably we got a XHAKA that was not yet mature because most players prime at 26, 27. So ARTETA coming, giving him confidence, probably coincided with his maturity, him getting at his prime age. So it looks like, for me, I came to the conclusion that Arsenal fans probably judged him wrongly because he was not the man they thought, or he wasn't yet matured as they expected him to be, based on his experience and the age that he was. And because he's a player that is physically gifted and that is brave in tackles and never shies away from any fight. So people tend to misjudge him and think that he's a grown man. So when I looked at him, when I was thinking about him this season, I kind of told myself, it's possible that at the time we are judging him harshly, we were looking at him as a full grown and mature player. Whereas, conversely, he actually came into maturity since last season. And luckily for him, for the club and for Arteta's faith in him worked. The culture Arteta is trying to instill in the team probably worked for him as well. And everything came together at the right time. So I don't know what you think. Do you think his age at the time he came to Arsenal and how old he is now, in a way, played a role both with how bad he was, with probably timing of his tackles, behavior on the pitch, as against what we're seeing now from him?
Your point is a solid one. I think in addition to his age and his level of maturity, I think the position he was played was a very key, factor. XHAKA is really, really good on the offensive part of the field. Very good defensively, but has to be surrounded by certain elements. Has to be surrounded by somebody that's a bit more agile. He, at a point, a friend of mine as an Arsenal fan described him as a locomotive. Like, it took him a long time to turn around physically, and that was a big problem. So when Wenger bought him, played him as a defensive midfielder. And over time, we saw that he struggled. He could play that position definitely, but the problem was any mistake that he made, we got punished for it. And so the fans were quick to get on his back, right? Arteta switched him to a more offensive position where he could make mistakes and still have the likes of Thomas Partey and the high line of Saliba and Gabriel protecting. And so that brought out the best in him. We didn't have to worry about somebody dispossessing him or somebody beating him to the ball because we had the pace and the back line to back him up. So that positioning was a problem initially. Even if he had been matured at that point, he would have still struggled with that positioning, unlike what we've seen with Arteta. Having said that, another thing with XHAKA that I've seen also that Arteta has brought out is his passing range. And I think that was one of the reasons why Wenger bought him. He has an excellent eye for a pass, right? And we could see how great. I was listening to our captain, Odegaard, talking about XHAKA the other day. And Odegaard said that immediately XHAKA got the ball and got into that position, he made that run. He knew where XHAKA was going to place that ball. He made himself available and he took the chance. So XHAKA is largely, to a greater extent, responsible for Odegaard's emergence in terms of goal scoring. If you check how many assists XHAKA has given Odegaard, people will be surprised. And so, and I noticed that whenever XHAKA wasn't there in the offensive third, we will miss that channel pass, that pass that will cut back and meet the target. You see, for example, I was watching the Nigerian Golden Eaglets in the game they played in the under-17 CAF competition. These boys, you can see that they have been trained to use the wings. But the problem was they never had a cross or pass meet the right person. They always pass behind, the striker. And so when you watch that, it's frustrating. But when you see people that are in sync, people that know how to pass the ball where a forward or a winger can meet the ball and score, then it looks like poetry in motion. So that's one thing that I'm going to miss about XHAKA, and I'm hoping, I believe, that the club will replace him with someone that has that mindset, that has that range of skill to know how to give the pass that can lead to a goal without even the striker touching it. Just the first touch will get into the goal. That's what I'm hoping for next season.
Yeah, I think you have a good point there. Though the adjustment in his position in the team was only this season, and we know that this is good run started from last season. Even though he was playing a little deeper, he started making his tries from last season. So I think both of us have a good point right there. Both the positioning and his maturity in terms of age all kind of came together at the right time, and it worked for him. But at that point, I remember listening to you while you were talking. I remember when XHAKA was bought and when he plays for Switzerland, like Roddy said earlier on, XHAKA always had two players play behind him.
Yeah.
In the national team, he's the transitor for the national team. They win the balls, they pass to him, he distributes the balls to the strikers and the attacking midfielders. He's not really the 10, but he's between the midfield and the front players. That's how he plays in Switzerland. I remember I used to get for them when they used to play him as a defensive midfielder. So, but this guy, because first of all, XHAKA goes away for a week, and plays for his national team. You watch him, you see how he performs. So when he comes back to Arsenal, it's a different XHAKA. So one day I had to watch him, technically and say, let me even understand what's going on here. So I found out that the position that he plays in the national team was different from what he was doing for Arsenal. And that was the problem. So because in the national team, like you rightly said, he doesn't have the possibility of breaking play or winning balls or getting the ball from the defenders. That's a very deep role. Any error you make in those positions, it basically costs your team goals or fouls. So in the national team, they're moving forward. They put two players who are mobile, because another issue that he has, he doesn't really get around too quickly and in the fast pace. So they have two younger players or faster players who are behind, who breaks play, try to win the balls. They don't give him that job of breaking play and making tackles. So I think you're right, and it was smart of ARTETA to have moved him forward to that position. XHAKA, we're going to miss him, but
just in the same vein, the point you were about to make, we're going to miss him, but the more I think about it, the more I think that the timing is excellent. Timing is right, because Leverkusen have offered him 4-year contract at the age of 30. Arsenal are never going to offer him anything close to that. Actually, they've not even offered him a new contract. So he's leaving for a team that will build whatever they want to do around him. Xabi Alonso there, who's the coach I rate. So he's going to play for Xabi Alonso, playing, I guess, probably in the same position he plays for Arsenal for the next 4 years. That's good for him. And I see an Arsenal that will emerge, hopefully, from this, being replaced by a more mobile,
rounded,
more offensive, more rounded, perhaps not as experienced, but someone that will, because there are certain flaws that XHAKA has in his game that have frustrated me personally over the years. Like he has a tendency to commit very stupid fouls when you don't need it, and it causes problems. And then he allows himself get into things, scuffles that you don't need. As a leader of the team, you should keep your temperament. He's done that very well this season, but sometimes it just, especially when the stakes are highest, you see XHAKA just go off, and we don't need that. So hopefully, we wish him the best, and we replace him with someone that will offer more goals, offer more offensive threat, offer more stability, offer more mobility. Because hopefully, Arsenal attack moving forward will be quick transition attack. Defend very well, but then when we move the ball forward, we move really fast and make things happen.
So, having said that, and looking around now with what we have in the market, who do you think Arsenal should replace him with, or who do you think is going to? We have two ways to replace XHAKA. If you look in the squad, is there any player that we have presently that you can say, hey, this player can step into that position? Then from the outside, who in the market do you think Arsenal should go for, and why do you think these players can play the role that XHAKA is playing and probably give Arsenal even more output than what XHAKA has been bringing?
I love the players that so far Arsenal have been linked with. Caicedo and Rice. Declan Rice and Caicedo, if we can get both players, that would be awesome. That would be great because either of them can play the Saka role. I see Odegaard being able to play the Saka role really well. Odegaard is such a well-rounded and brilliant player that he can play that role. He's good, very good defensively. He's very good with leading the what do they call it?
The press.
Thank you, the press. That's the word I'm looking for. Leading the press, right? He's also very good as a cerebral player that knows how to manage the team. And so, who says that Odegaard has to play as an 8 all the time? He can play as a 10, and we have someone like the Smith Rowe, and probably get an offensive midfielder. They've talked about Mason Mount. I think will be a great fit for our team as well. And then players like that will come in. I mentioned Caicedo, Rice, Mason Mount. Thinking about other teams, I would have loved Lucas Paqueta, but he's already at West Ham. I think that ship has sailed. But there are a few other players I'll think about that, and maybe when next we meet, we can discuss some options for the midfield. But yeah, off the top of my head, Caicedo and Rice will fill that vacuum very well.
So if you were asked to take one between Caicedo and Rice, who would you sign?
Man, up until last weekend, I had Rice nailed on. Caicedo has surprised me a little bit with what I've seen him do against both United and Arsenal, both games. He was incredible playing from right back with his passion, with his passing, and his relentlessness, his energy. But I'll still take Declan Rice. I've seen enough from Declan Rice to tell me that this guy is going to be a top class player, for a very, very long time. I will still, this minute, I will take Declan Rice. But taking nothing away from Caicedo, I think both are almost at the same level. Rice, because he offers a certain stability, offers a certain
security.
His edges, security, thank you. His edges are rounded. His edges are more rounded than Caicedo. Caicedo still has rough edges here and there. And for a team like Arsenal, we need, and you're replacing somebody like XHAKA with all that experience, you need a well-rounded person that's a leader as well, that can, manage games, manage their temperament, and know how to, handle themselves on the field. Caicedo, for example, injured Martinelli while just trying to revenge Martinelli's tackle on his teammate. Those are the kind of things that, okay, hey, this boy is still rough on the edges. He needs to know how to manage himself on the field. He could have easily got sent off.
Yeah, personally, for me, the role that XHAKA has played for Arsenal this season is a very, very technical, and you need to be smart, you need to be talented, you need to have eye for pass and eye for goal as well, because I know in some interviews, ARTETA said, even himself said it, ARTETA encouraged him to get more into the box, score goals, and make assists. So having seen Caicedo and Rice, like you rightly said, I would prefer Rice. But I think if Arsenal really want to move to the next level, you've seen what City has been doing this season. They almost have 22 players who are of the same quality. So I think Arsenal should go for both of the two players, but probably use Caicedo more as a backup for Partey, to use him more as a defensive player as against offensive. I haven't seen much from him to trust that he's going to be that player that will be able to create chances for Arsenal and score goals as well. Well, on the other hand,
Yeah.
Rice has had a lot of goals this season, and he's had a lot of assists as well. He's a ball carrier. He can dribble. He can press from the front. And like you rightly said earlier on, he also has the discipline to understand when to do the defensive role. So for XHAKA's role, I would expect Arsenal to go do whatever it takes to get Declan Rice. Then if we are really ambitious and we really want to probably try to win this league again next season and go as far as we can in Champions League, I think we should get the both of the players, because they give you protection, squad depth, even as the first 11 starters, both forward and backward. And we've seen that this season it looks like one of the problems that we had sustaining our title chart was basically running out of steam. The players were tired. Saka played almost, not even play, started almost all the games, if not all.
Yeah.
Same with Martinelli. So those guys got tired, and we know what happened with Saliba as well.
And apart from tiredness, we were very lucky that we were lucky with injuries as well, because any injury to Saka and Martinelli would have even cost us more than it cost us so far.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's I think, like Riley said as well, what we see on the media, it looks like the club is linked to both of the players. I heard somebody say that Arsenal was going to spend about 140 million to get the both of them, and that would be nice, because obviously the Leverkusen is going to pay some money for XHAKA, so we're going to get some money this summer. So I think there shouldn't be any reason for Arsenal not to invest, be a little bit aggressive in the market this summer. First of all, Balogun's situation, most likely he's going to go, or if they sell him, we're going to make money from there. Have Lakonga, who probably will get a loan fee for him next season, or he'll be sold. We have other French players in the squad that probably the team can easily raise a 70 million or 80 million somewhere to foot the Declan Rice bill. Then they can now invest money from the owners to do Caicedo. And for me, if they get these two players, I don't even really mind if you don't go for it. I know Arsenal needs a striker that can score goals. But if we can get Caicedo and Rice and probably another defender, I don't mind not buying a striker this summer. We can go with Balogun, Jesus, Nketiah, start the season that way. Probably in January, we can now see if add a striker, because like if you listen to all the legends and the former players, they always tell you the spine of the team is very important. This season, we had our spine nailed down until we lost Saliba. So in the midfield this season, Partey in the last 5-6 weeks looked like he ran out of steam, and we really didn't have any cover for him. And that's one of the reasons as well, because if Partey was at it the way he's been all season before the last 5 weeks, I'm not sure we would have really missed Saliba the way we did. So having somebody, or even a couple of players who will step into those shoes, I think it will do the club, the team very, very good next season. You're about to say something.
Yeah, but what I would like to say is that prior to this season, Arsenal could hide under lowered expectations. After this season, there's nowhere to hide under lowered expectations. So this issue of having just midfielders and spine covered and managing to January will not hold with water. At the end of the season, if Arsenal isn't contesting for that league on being near winning it, it will not be acceptable. So they might as well do whatever they need to do this summer.
I get you.
To be ready.
Yeah,
right? Because the fans have gotten used to good football, gotten used to winning. And so get all the ingredients you need. If you don't do that, and you start with Balogun, or you start with Jesus, and we keep missing chances the way we've been missing, or we don't create enough, then it becomes a problem. So yes, I agree, the defense needs to be fixed, midfield needs to be fixed, but we need a goal scoring forward so we can enjoy. There's nothing like enjoying a good game, enjoying good offense, and seeing goals. We need goals so badly, more than anything else.
Yeah, I think another thing ARTETA needs to work on next season as well is to trust the French players a little bit more. so that the main players that he trusts better will run out of steam. For instance, the few times we had Rhys Nelson coming this season, he did a good job. He had a good show. Though I don't think he's really. I heard Ateta is a fan of his. I think the reason why he didn't play much was because of his injury. Or ESR Smith Rowe is back from injury in a little while now. Though where the team was when he came back, obviously it's going to be difficult for him to get into the team. So I also expect, now that they're taking care of the recurring injury that he's been having, that from next season he will also get more playing time. So I think I should probably need to work out how to use the entire squad and still get results, as against relying on just a particular set of players week in, week out. I think I like Kivio, notwithstanding what happened last Sunday, the first goal considered against Brighton. What I see from him, I kind of feel comfortable having backup right there. So what we need to work on now is Saliba. I know you are a fan of Rob Holding, but I think Rob Holding, if we get a good offer for him, I wouldn't mind him being sold.
Otherwise, yes. I mean, after the experience we've had this season, I think I'm ready to sell him. I'm ready to sell him. Mainly not because he's a bad player, but because he's not a good fit. Because it's so clear, when he plays and he replaces someone like Saliba, the difference is just so clear. The team suffers as a result. So why do that? So we don't need to expose ourselves in that way. So we might as well sell him and get money from him when it's possible, and then get a defender that's a better fit for the team.
Exactly, because the way Arsenal plays, if he goes to another team, he probably will shine. But the way we play, because the reason, and that's one of the reasons why the last 5, 6, 7 games we've struggled to score goals, because Arsenal usually presses high, congest the opponent in their own half. What that means is that your attackers are closer to the opponent's box and goal. It's easier for them to get goals. But when you keep dropping almost to your own box, then that gap between the strikers and the midfielders and the defenders gets enlarged, and it's pretty difficult to get around the pitch. And this, for me, is one of the reasons why Arsenal struggled in the last 7 games. And you remember when I came last summer, when I went to Florida to watch Arsenal play against Chelsea, you and I had a conversation, and I told you about Saliba. One of the things I picked up from the boy was his smartness in space. Saliba, if you watch him, 9 out of 10 times, once he threads a pass to the midfielder or to his right back, the first thing he does is to take 2 steps backwards. He creates that space in case something goes wrong. Because as against somebody like Gordon, if you watch him, if he makes the pass, he waits for the pass to get to the player before he starts to make adjustment. I don't know if you remember, I think it was FA Cup last season that they knocked us out. We misplaced a pass, and him and Gabriel were almost at the same line and very close to the opponent. And none of them made the tackle. The guy ran through our defense. But when Saliba does that, even if there's any mistake with the pass, there is room for recovery. So, and it gives the receiver of the pass confidence too. If I can't go forward, then bring it back to me. Then we'll recycle. So and some of these things like that are not stuff that you actually really coach a player. Some of these things are instinct. So I've been in Arsenal for, I'm sure he's been there for 7 years now, or thereabout. And he still hasn't developed these technicalities. I don't think he's going to do anything better than that. The way we play doesn't really suit him that much. I think it's time to cut ties. If we get a good offer for him, back to what we were saying before, I think we have about 4 or 5 players that we can raise funds from this summer to finance a major signing. Then the club can now invest in another major signing and maybe 1 or 2 other players in other positions to get the team ready for next season. I just called you up, and sorry to take your time this evening. I called you up to to get your take on XHAKA. I know he's a player that we have talked about so much this season.
Yeah.
Yes, before we hear the last word from Ugum, I just want to remind you, our young channel, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you like our content. I know you do. Hit the notification button so that when we drop our contents, you get them. I also want to let you know at this point that on Wednesday, which being tomorrow, we're going to have the Real Madrid Man City semi-final second leg at the Etihad. We will be looking at that game to bring to you what we saw during the game, analyze it, and see who makes it to the finals. There's also going to be, keep an eye on the channel as well. We're going to send you out a notice at the end of the season. We're going to be having a fan fiesta show. We're going to have fans from different clubs all around Europe. We call it Real Madrid, Man City, Arsenal, Man U, Chelsea. We're going to come together to have a review of the season. We're going to be able to pick out the team of the season for Europe, team of the season for Premier League, the best player, best goalkeeper, best striker, and the best midfielder. So all these are going to be, we're going to give to you at the fan fiesta at the end of the season. Precisely, it's going to be on June 11th. That program is going to be on June 11th. We're working towards making it live, but if not possible, it will be recorded. So keep an eye on that. And also, it's an opportunity for you to get on the comment section and send to us the topics or questions you want us to take care of with the fans on the fan fiesta. So, what do you have to say to tell the fans before we go?
It's a pleasure discussing with Reggie on the show this evening. Guys, just like he said, let's support the new channel. Please subscribe and hit the notification button. And let's keep being together like we've been this evening. We'll do this more often, and hopefully just keep your eye out for Transit TV on YouTube. I will look forward to seeing you again soon.
Yeah, thank you. Good to have you. I know you're a busy man. Thank you for having this time to share with us today. Viewers will try as much as possible to get him more often on the channel. He's a very, very lover of the game. Anywhere football bounces, there you see Ugum. I can guarantee you that he's in the grassroots, he's in professional level. Ugum as well is a football manager stroke agent. If you also have upcoming talents, you can reach to us and we link you up with him. He's a very professional manager when it has to do with players. He looks out for their career and total well-being. So it's nice to have you, and we hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.